Between sparring sessions, Damon contacted Maya through the mind link, reminding her to take Talia shopping. But Maya told him that Talia slept and she shouldn't get disturbed. Talia is sleeping. Considering her wounds, she needs rest. We can shop tomorrow, Maya tried to reason with Damon. No, do it today. Damon didn't relent. The truth is that he felt guilty. He knew that Talia left because of the incident in the kitchen, and he thought that if Maya took her shopping, Talia would feel better and not try to leave again. The thought of Talia leaving created knots in his stomach. She nearly escaped, and next time, he might not get so lucky to find her sleeping in the forest. It turned late afternoon when Damon finished training and returned to the pack house. His shorts stuck to his body, and his bare chiseled chest and abs glistened due to all the sweat, and he itched for a shower. Damon heard Maya's voice coming from the kitchen, so he took a detour, completely ignoring Cassie, who ogled at him. How did the shopping go? Damon asked Maya, interrupting her talk with an Omega who stole amorous glances at Damon. We didn't go, Maya responded. Damon frowned and continued through the mind link. I told you to go today. Maya felt irked, but she knew better than to show it, so she plastered a smile. Talia wouldn't enjoy it if I dragged her against her will. Against her will? Damon felt confused. Every woman loves shopping. Talia doesn't want to leave her room, and I don't blame her. Damon snorted and went to his room. His steps halted in front of the door, and he went left instead of right. Before opening the door, he listened carefully. Nothing. He took a few sniffs, and his anxiousness mixed with anger when he couldn't pick up Talia's scent. Did she leave again? Damon opened the door abruptly and froze at the sight of Talia, who slept on the bed, curled around the pillow. A slow breath escaped his lips, and he backtracked out of her room. Before closing the door, his sight fell on the empty plate where bread, fruits, and cheese had been. He left them there last night. The fact that Talia ate the food he left made him feel a little better. Damon went to his room and took a quick shower. He returned to Talia's room, but this time with another plate of food that had fruits and croissants, and it got wrapped in plastic wrap so that the pastry didn't dry off. Damon sat on the bed and reached to hold Talia's hand. He looked at her sleepy face and didn't move for a long time. Cassie felt irritated. Dinner passed and Damon didn't come down. She saw him take a plate of food upstairs, the same way he did last night, and she knew that he took it to the third floor. But she assumed that it meant for him, because she didn't know that someone else stayed on the Alpha's floor. How Cassie called it. Only once Cassie made her way to the third floor, and Omegas told her that it didn't allow. But when she ignored them, Alpha Damon showed up and chased her away, saying that only his Luna would get to climb there. Well, didn't that mean her? It only took a matter of time, how Cassie saw it. There existed numerous she-wolves coveting Alpha Damon, but Cassie represented the only one who could stay in his pack house. Didn't that make her special? Cassie went to her room on the second floor and called her father. Daddy, she whined. Alpha Demon ignored me again. What did you do, Pumpkin? Cassie pouted while trying to think about what she did to offend him. I really have no idea. Last night I apologized and he seemed fine, but then he didn't. Alpha Richard hummed. Did something happen while he seemed fine? We went together to get drinks in the kitchen, and there stood a woman stealing food. I called her out, and she left with that pesky beta. What did Alpha Damon do? He asked me if I think his pack members need to steal food. And? Do you think they need to steal? No, I don't. But that woman sneaked in the dark. If she didn't steal, what else did she do? Sweetie, you look at this wrongly. Huh? Cassie felt confused. You want to become the Luna of the Dark Howler's pack, right? Why do you always ask me that, Daddy? Cassie groaned. I'm reminding you why you stay there, Alpha Richard responded. If you want to become his Luna, you should act like one. I don't get it, Cassie admitted. Alpha Damon prohibited me from calling myself his Luna. This doesn't involve titles, but behavior, Pumpkin. Luna represents the mother of the pack. If her children feel hungry, she will provide for them and not call them out on stealing. You need to show compassion and gentleness. Show him that you can become a good Luna for his pack. Cassie listened intently. She knew what her father meant, but she didn't want to become the Luna in order to pamper others. She chased after the power and prestige which came with that position. She dreamed about standing proudly next to Damon. Omegas should have their duties and their meal times, and that didn't include eating from the pack house because that belonged to high-ranking members. Any Omega in the pack house stayed there to work and not relax and have snacks. But she knew that her father spoke correctly. No matter what her end goal seemed, she needed to put on a good facade. After she secured her spot, she could do whatever she wanted. Damon stayed in Talia's room until she started stirring. He knew that she would wake up, and he wanted to talk to her to ask for an explanation. Why did she go to the forest? Didn't he tell her to stay put? Did she run away or warn him that she could leave without him noticing? A part of him feared the answers. He didn't want to hurt her, but if Talia said that she wanted to leave, Damon didn't know how he would react. While she went missing, he spiraled into insanity, while anger and fear consumed him. And if she said that it happened on purpose, he might snap. And why did she refuse shopping? Did she punish him by refusing him the chance to repent? At that moment, Damon decided to leave. They would talk tomorrow. By then, he would cool off and the risk of him snapping would significantly lower. But Talia didn't show up for breakfast, and she didn't show up for lunch either. And he went back to feeling irritated. What game did she play? To starve herself? Talia either harmed herself or defied him, or both, and neither of those sat well with him. With every passing minute, his impatience morphed into fury until he couldn't take it anymore. Damon filled a plate with food and stormed toward the third floor. What Damon didn't know involved Maya noticing how Talia cooped up in her room. So besides bringing her food, Maya brought Talia a tablet and showed her how to go on the internet and browse. Talia spent quite some time reading news and looking at local maps to familiarize herself with the world and surroundings. Talia shrunk when she heard someone rapidly slamming on her door. She sat on the bed with the tablet in her hand, looking at the local map and figuring out nearby towns. It felt nice and calm, and whoever stood on the other side of that door made her anxious. Did the house catch fire? Or did Alpha Edward find out where she stayed and something horrible happened because of her? The door swung open, and Talia's eyes widened when she saw Damon's dark expression. Did he come to punish her because she went into the forest without permission? "Why don't you come down to eat?" Damon asked grumpily. "Do you think this represents a hotel and we should serve you?" Talia shook her head frantically, unsure why he asked her that. Just the other night, he stood and watched as she got accused of stealing food. It seemed that he changed his mind and she could eat again. "Doctor told you that you seem underweight. Did you forget that you need to have regular meals? Or do you starve yourself on purpose? I didn't bring you here to have you hospitalized." Talia realized that Damon felt concerned about her weight. Did the kind Dr. Travis call to check on her? Probably. Talia couldn't imagine that Damon would care about Talia's weight, unless he fattened her up so that he could eat her later. Only then Talia noticed that Damon held onto a plate filled with food. Did that belong to her? When she woke up last night, she found fruits and croissants, and that morning Maya brought her a nice sandwich and orange juice. Talia didn't feel hungry, and she didn't want to risk seeing Cassie or Damon again, so she decided to stay in the room and avoid trouble. Yet the devil himself stood at her door. She didn't know what to think about Damon other than he seemed mentally unstable.
Wait, that's not the end. You've just had a free taste. Now get the full story on the Pocket FM app, link in description. Check out our next video and playlist, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.